The doll named Mandy had belonged to the woman's grandmother, but rather than being sad to be parted with what should have been a treasured possession, the woman seemed anxious to get rid of it. The curator took hold of the doll and immediately felt uneasy. She chalked the feeling up to the fact that the doll had an incredibly creepy look to it. Its clothing was quite old and faded. The soft, stuffed parts of its body were ripped in places, but most creepy of all was the doll's face. It was realistically painted and had glass eyes, but the forehead over the doll's right eye was cracked, causing the eye to protrude slightly, like it was intently peering at the onlookers. Mandy was taken to the museum's workroom to undergo some maintenance before it could be placed on display. The doll was enclosed in a plastic bag to test whether bugs had infested it. Any bugs or insects leaving the doll would be caught by the bag, thus letting the museum staff know of the infestation. However, the realistic-looking scarred doll being placed in a plastic bag only added to the uneasiness the museum staff felt.
It is Halloween night, the annual holiday for ghosts, ghouls and all those things that go bump in the night. So it's timely to present a story that may cause a few shivers on the spine and those little hairs on the back of your neck to stand up. Please welcome Carrie Walton, who has brought along a friend to meet in a moment, and also spiritual psychic consultant Lena. Welcome one and all. Now, Carrie, you, some 25 years ago, found a doll, not just any doll. How spooky have you found having possession of this doll?
Very spooky.
Why?
Just lots of funny things have happened. Things falling off walls, people being afraid, people just not wanting to come into the house where he is or in the room or anything like that. Yeah, it's just very, very spooky doll.
You have brought the doll. I haven't seen this yet, and Lena, our spiritual consultant, has not seen the doll and will give us a reading. Would you like to show us your doll? He's not too attractive.
No.
Now, what have you... Oh, what weird eyes. What have you found out about this doll? How old is it and where was it made?
It's about 200 years old and it was supposed to be made in Eastern Europe, and they actually dated him by these nails in the bottom of his feet here, you see. And yeah, Eastern Europe, that's what they say.
The doll is original, a couple of hundred years old.
That a man named Eikichi Suzuki bought this doll while he was in Sapporo, Japan for his 2-year-old baby sister in 1938. The doll, as you can see, is wearing a traditional Japanese kimono. It has black eyes and hair covering its porcelain face. When the man brought his sister the doll, the sister, whose name is Okiku, loved the doll so much she even named it after her. But unfortunately, a short time later, the girl fell ill and eventually passed away. In her remembrance, her family placed the doll in their household altar and began to pray to it every day. This is where things begin to become weird. The hair on the doll, which was originally a neat shoulder length, has started to grow. It was soon at the knees of the doll, and even when the hair was trimmed, it soon grew right back. The family, believing that Okiku's spirit has inhabited the doll, decided to, instead of burning it right away with holy fire, they gave it to Mandy Temple in Hokkaido, Japan before they moved away. The doll to this day is still in a wooden box at the temple where you can still see it, and it's probably the only doll in the world that needs regular haircuts because the hair, it just keeps growing. Even though there's still no plausible explanation as to why or how Okiku doll's hair continues to grow, scientific research has concluded that the figurine's hair is indeed akin to that of a young child, probably Okiku in this case. But I just want to bring up another possible explanation. I don't believe that the doll is inhabited by Okiku's spirit. I believe the doll is actually possessed by a Hari Onago, or long-haired woman, which is an urban legend about a Japanese ghost with extremely long hair that can keep on growing her hair and use it as a weapon to attack, in general, young men who smiles at her.
Doll, who is simply known as Robert the Doll, is said to be possessed by a malicious and vengeful spirit. Don't let his simplistic look deceive you, as his disturbing tale has earned its rank as one of the most twisted tales of the paranormal. Today we explore Robert the Doll's complete story. The boy and his family happily took the doll back to their house located in Key West, Florida. Eugene was simply referred to by his family as Gene. Because of this, he decided to give the doll his first name, Robert. It wasn't long after having the doll that the two became inseparable. Gene carried Robert wherever he went, treating him as one of the family. He would often talk to Robert as if Robert was an actual person, and even gave him a place at the family dinner table, pretending to feed the doll pieces of his food. For the most part, everything seemed to be normal, as Gene acted towards Robert as most children would to their favorite doll. However, as time went on, things took a bizarre turn, and Gene's new friend quickly became a terrifying household presence. Gene had entire conversations with Robert, and during these conversations, the family heard a strange voice replying to their son. At first, they thought Gene was simply making the voice himself. However, they quickly realized the voice they heard was much deeper and sounded different than anything Gene could possibly create himself. Not long after, Gene started having terrifying experiences with the doll. Robert slept in the same bed as Gene, and on several occasions, Mr. and Mrs. Odo heard Gene screaming bloody murder in the dead of night. Upon entering, they found furniture thrown all over Gene's room. Gene was still in his bed, and Robert was sitting in the corner, eerily glancing at his owner.
Every morning she would leave her Raggedy Ann doll seated with limbs stretched out. Yet, every night, she would return to find the doll's arms and legs in different positions. Sometimes the doll's legs would be crossed. Occasionally, its arms would be crossed and resting in its lap.
And probably the most evil object in this museum is the Annabelle doll. And what we endeavor to do tonight is to move the doll from its secure case here at the museum into a portable secure case. That's the real doll. I'm going to start out with the St. Michael the Archangel prayer. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle, be our protection against the malice and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and all the evil spirits who wander through the world for the ruin of souls. Amen. Amen. Now, Dan has already drenched his hands in holy water. He's also blessed himself. He had received a blessing from a Roman Catholic priest. Now, I'm going to have Dan do it for that reason, because he already visited the priest and had the blessing over him. So Dan is going to do it very, very quickly. And before we even do it, we're going to get some more holy water and put some more holy water on Dan's hands, as you can see here. Okay, Dan, I want you to bless yourself too. And Dan also he's Roman Catholic. He just converted to Catholicism, and so am I. Now we're taking this very seriously. This is not a joke. I want you to know this is not a joke. This doll has caused havoc to many, many people. And we believe it is the cause of the death of a young man who came here on a motorcycle one day. Ed Warren was giving a short presentation in the museum. He had about 10 or 12 young people here. And as he was talking about the doll and the history of the doll, and happened to mention that one incident happened where Lou, a fiancée of one of the girls who received this doll from her mother, Lou had a terrible nightmare. He was laying on the couch. Annabelle's on the other end of the couch in this apartment. And he woke up with a start, and he started to sweat. And he said, geez, I just had the worst nightmare. And Donna, who owned the doll, looked at Lou and said, what happened? He said, I had the worst nightmare in the world. I had a dream that this doll was crawling up my leg, finally started strangling me to death. He was very eerie. What he did, though, is he took the doll and he grabbed it with both hands off the couch and he threw it across the room. And as he did, he said, this is just a Raggedy Ann doll. It couldn't hurt anybody. As he did that, 7 psychic wounds appeared on his chest, 4 on his chest, 3 on his stomach. The kind of wounds where it looks like a scratch mark where blood would come through his t-shirt. And that's when they knew that they weren't dealing with anything that was human. Ed was explaining that, and the young man came up to the case and started banging on the glass. And as he banged on the glass, he's saying, "This is just a bunch of bunk. If that doc can put scratches on somebody, do it to me right now." That is the problem. He challenged the demonic. Why would you challenge the unknown, something that you know nothing about, the intangible, the unseen? That's what he did. And Ed told him and his girlfriend to leave. "You better get out of here now. I can't put up with that." He came on a motorcycle. 3 hours later, though, that young man was dead. And we know what happened because the girl didn't die, he did. She said, after getting out of the hospital, she said that the last thing she could recall was laughing and joking about the doll with her boyfriend on his motorcycle when he lost total control, went straight out into a tree and died. Okay, quickly. Right over here. Let's go into the new case. Got that last sign there too, dude. Yeah, we'll lock it up later. Make sure to close.